Good evening and welcome to Thursday Night Chat the Mancunian way. Hope we are all good. Good evening, Rich. Good evening, Veta. How are we both?
Good morning. Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Good afternoon. Feeling good? Still happy after yesterday?
Always happy, mate. I'm going to sort my camera out. It's a bit weird. Are you ready for your Rich rants? Rich, coming back tonight.
Yeah, I am. Just, really a few thoughts on, Arsenal and their attempt to try and pretend to be the Scousers, I think. If only people were original.
Yeah, I do understand a lot of people are still watching the gift that keeps on giving called Man United. I understand people are still watching that. So a lot of people watch this back on repeat, no doubt, because obviously United are just bloody hilarious, aren't they, really? Yeah. Quite funny.
Do you not think in this world of football being like movies that Seville are going to score two own goals in the last 10 minutes, and then it's going to go penalties, and David De Gea is going to miss the 11th penalty?
Not really. FIFA, by the way, big thank you. You're dropping the links to 9320 podcast, Veta Games TV. Yeah, I do appreciate all those. Really do. Good evening, Michael Feeney. Hope you are well. Good evening, Adam Quinn. Hope you are well, mate. Good evening, Charla. Hope you are well. Sean, good evening, mate. Hope you are well. Yeah, I think Cheryl's fine, mate. No worries. All good. Ray P, good evening, mate. Hope you are well. Stephen Bennett, hey up all. Hope you're all good. We're well. Hope you're good. CM City's in the building. Hello, mate. Belly's with us. Looking forward to another City win against Sheffield United. Aren't we all? We will talk about that as well. I am going to get Veta and Rich's initial thoughts on last night, because obviously they've not talked about it on here. So I do want to grab it. Anytime, no worries, mate. Hi, all blues. Good evening, Pardo. Hello, Liz. Hope you are well. And having a good Thursday. Right, Rich. And then we'll come to Veta.
Thoughts on last night?
I don't know how Veta's done that, but he's just magically transformed from outside to inside.
Yeah, well, Canada's probably about 20 years ahead of Britain now.
That was like magic.
Technology and stuff.
I had a video of Veta literally walking around his house to his sat in his studio. That was like magic.
Yeah.
Had to be here in the studio to do this show, man. It's the right way to do it.
For those old enough to remember, Veta's just using the same technology as Nadia Popov used to use in Rent-A-Ghost, but much quieter sneeze.
No one's going to know.
I do hope there's someone old enough to remember.
No one's going to know what Rent-A-Ghost is, Rich. I bet you still sing the song, don't you?
I could sing the song. If your mansion house needs haunting, just call.
All right, stop, Rich. Good evening, Sean. Good evening, Michael. Yeah, give Veta a thing. Nicholas in the building. Good evening. So, Rich, Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not sure if you watched the watch along.
No, I didn't watch along.
Alan had a bit of a meltdown. Quite fun.
Yeah.
Was you as nervous as Alan was?
I suggest you watching it, Rich.
No, I mean, I might have. Is it available to watch for comedy this evening after I've had a couple of beers? No, I mean,
you just watch me getting more angry. He's here now, getting more angry and angry as the stream goes on. Of Alan going, "We shit, we've had enough. Oh, Ireland's crap." It was quite funny.
Well, that's it. It's funny, really.
Evening, Alan.
Good morning. It's a great morning.
I've been saying to Alan for like about, for
Seville
many years.
It's 3-0. Hang on, it's 3-0. United have lost again. It's 3-0. Seville.
I've got a headache.
Oh, God.
But
I like the energy.
I've never quite understood. I've said to Alan, why do you follow football when it makes you so miserable? And then occasionally it makes him happy.
Oh, the rags are going home. Oh dear. Oh dear. They're all 3-0. Oh, the De Gea's had a shocker. He's come out. Oh, it's great. Oh, look at this. Oh,
Alan,
we've had Harry Maguire, and then we've had
Martin, how did you get Brian Potter on tonight?
Oh dear, mate! No, just wait till you see the third one. Just wait.
How did you get Brian Potter on the Mancini Way? I think we should have millions on tonight. I'm a bit worried that we're lacking Jerry St. Clair, but I'm sure we can get him on board as well.
Oh dear, what is he doing? The ball comes to him in the air, and he stands on the ball, traps it, and then falls over. And the centre forward just runs up, takes the ball, and rolls it in. He's brilliant. Oh, it's like a comedy of errors. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that has cheered me up.
Right, if anyone wants to know what old people are like when they start going a little bit cuckoo, there's Alan.
I haven't seen Brian this happy since the Phoenix Club.
Do you know what makes me laugh? He wasn't this happy last night.
Even David Levin said it. All the City fans are sending me texts. Are you watching this comedy show? Oh, it's brilliant. It's gold.
I think Alan's become a Seville fan.
Mate, I support Man City and anyone who plays this.
Alongside the meltdown that Mark Goldbridge is probably having, Brian.
It's going to be brilliant. It's brilliant.
Is there a mute button for Alan? Hang on, Alan, let bloody Rich speak.
Oh, sorry, Rich. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
So what were we talking about, Brian? We were talking about last night, weren't we?
Yeah.
I don't know where we're up to anymore.
Last night was kind of what I expected and hoped for. Just a dull, well, not dull actually, because it was reasonably exciting at times, but all we wanted to do was go away, never, go behind and get through. And the only down, when I haven't heard the news this morning, so you might have heard the news, was Ake getting, an injury. But, it does sound, I haven't heard scans, but it does sound like it's relatively, weeks, not months, injury.
Might not even be weeks, Rich.
Yeah, well, exactly. He has had it before, but obviously he knew that it's where he's had before, and he got himself off before any serious damage was done, which is, is very good. And fortunately, we have a 4 title winning defender to come in. Not ideal as a playing the fullback part of the role, but world class centre back. So that's okay. But it was a game where we were never any closer than 3 goals from Bayern Munich, and that's the reality. Had it been we went 1-0 down and came back, that would have been a different story. But we were 3 goals up in the quarterfinal. We were 4 goals up in the quarterfinal. We were 3 goals up in the quarterfinal. It was just never really in doubt, and so it was a bit, the emotions and the heart rate, obviously, except for Alan, never really got nervous or worried or anything else. Never massively exciting, but I think we had the 3 best chances of the game. We were 20 centimeters from playing against 10 men, and it was quite slightly dull, easy ride, really. So, what's to worry about?
I don't know. You need to ask him down bottom left what was to worry about.
Yeah, someone said the same about Real Madrid against Chelsea, that Chelsea had their, I didn't watch the game, but Chelsea had their moments. But basically, City and
Chelsea could finish, Rich.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, that's the same with Bayern. Bayern haven't got a finisher.
They had a 3 or 4 decent chance. They had 3 or 4 decent chances. One very good chance with Sano.
If Lewandowski was still a Bayern player, and obviously they'd have had different players playing, and there's if then things might be slightly different.
Wheels should be a bike.
Well, yeah, that's the point. They don't have Lewandowski. They created a couple of good chances, but they weren't tap-ins. I mean, they were their best chance from Sané was no better than the chance Erling missed, and wasn't as good as Erling's penalty.
And City had chances as well, Rick.
I think
City had chances as well. Let's not pretend City were penned back for 70 minutes like bottom left thinks we were.
The 4 best chances of the game were 2 for Haaland and 2 penalties.
Exactly. So I don't know where anyone went into meltdown last night. If you went into meltdown last night, you need to go and see someone. Seriously, there was no meltdown at all.
If you're having a meltdown last night, you should have been watching the cabaret at the club.
Yeah, you should not be supporting Manchester City if that was a meltdown. If you were melting down on that last night, go and take up snooker. Snooker's a lovely game.
He needs it. Right. Okay. So he's disappeared. I wonder if that's Virgin Media. Oops.
Oh, if it's Virgin Media, then the whole lot will cut off, won't it? I suppose. But
no, I think we can keep going. Once it's started, I think we can keep going. So
we'll just carry on talking about.
So Vater, everyone's heard for 2 hours Martin's thoughts on the game. I mean, not Martin and Alan's thoughts on the game. But what did you think of the game?
I thought, same kind of natural nervousness for a second leg, and wanted to make sure that the players were up for it, and they kind of just sealed the deal. And I saw the lineup, and I was calm. I kept referring to the 3-0, the 3-0 that we had on that first leg, and it's going to take it would have taken a completely shambolic disaster performance for it to really turn against us. So once I saw that Tuchel really wasn't going after us, I think he was still going to try to take his chances with counters or really quick reaction plays over the top. And he tested Ake early. No disrespect. Coleman is a blistering fast forward. And
I think Ake had more problem with him than I've seen any player this season.
Yeah. And I think it's also based off of how Tuchel decided to kind of play him. He wasn't really playing any balls to feed. He really wasn't trying to set him up 1v1. I think 1v1, Ake would have been fine. But we didn't press as we typically do as well, given that we had the three. We didn't
waste energy. We didn't use the intensity.
We didn't use the intensity or energy to kind of press them and get possession of the ball. And I think they took advantage of that a few times, having some time in that midfield and sending that ball over. And I think that's the biggest reason why Ake kind of blew a tire a little bit late in that game. But they were not, as a team, Tuchel did not have them set up to pass to break us down. He didn't have that level of sophistication. He didn't have them organized, and that's why I was really calm. It would have taken maybe a moment of brilliance, maybe a slip up defensively for them to really have enough chances to really turn the tide and win this tie. So all in all, I was really calm with it, and I did enjoy tuning in to the Mancini way and catching Alan and Martin and Ozzy. It was post match as well. It was fun to catch these guys.
Yeah, sorry, Virgin Media's having a nightmare tonight. There is an outage in the area, so I might keep going in and out. But you guys can keep going.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine, without, when we've got an experienced, club owner and, person like Brian on the show tonight, we'll be absolutely fine to keep going. And we can always get Jerry on for a few jokes if needed.
I hate to ask this question. I'm going to do. Enjoy last night, Alan?
Yeah, I did in the end. But the first half I didn't enjoy because they pressed us. But after it all calmed down, I realised that after their pressing in the first half and the energy that they had by, pressing our midfield, which they did, they couldn't keep it up for 90 minutes. And that was the big thing. I think Bates agrees with that. When Haaland missed the penalty, I did have a fear of a collapse. It's happened a couple of times this year when we had collapsed, and obviously in Madrid when we collapsed. But it never.
So just name me these collapses. No. You said the word collapse. No, hang on. If you're going to use the word collapse, please give examples of collapses.
Real Madrid. Manchester
last season.
I mean, Spurs was the classic example this season.
Hang on. Manchester United.
United.
All right, the first goal wasn't a goal, but after that they completely capitulated, which we did.
We did against Spurs in the game we came back against. We came back in the second half, but we had that.
So they had that bit of a meltdown where things all go wrong at the same time.
I wouldn't call them collapses.
But the one thing I will say that City have got this year that they seem to have, especially after the World Cup, is they seem to have got resilience now, which I didn't think at the back they had. And when they've changed the system, Martin, you are right, and I owe you an apology. Playing the 3-box-3 as he calls it.
3-2-2-3.
Well, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We do look a lot more solid, and they're resilient because when you're playing against the big sides like Bayern Munich,
hang on, I'm just clipping that. I just need to clip something. Alan just apologised to me. Hang on a minute. Well, where's the clip button on here? That's going in YouTube Shorts. Carry on.
Right. So,
Rich, I'll see you next.
When the good sides have got the ball, we're not going to keep the ball all the time against the real top sides in Europe. No way. So we've got to be resilient, which, let's be honest, an example of resilience was Real Madrid winning it last year with the quarterfinal, semi-final and final. They got battered in every game. But
that's 16.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to be the best side to win games. And City did exactly that. They showed resilience just last night, a bit of steel and fight at the back, and they defended really, really well. So yeah, it was a great result. I can't argue with that. But we've got the masters of the Champions League in the semi-final, which is going to be really tough for us. But we'll see. We've got the players to win it. We've just got to perform against them.
And let's be honest. We are far. I think we're a better team than Real Madrid.
We are, but they've got resilience, and we had a better team last time.
What they've got would be far more dangerous over one match than two.
We've got Ireland.
If you've got two teams and one's better than the other, over 2 legs, the better team will win a higher percentage than over one game. And I do think that Real Madrid, I said this weeks ago, I'd rather have them and Bayern, and Chelsea for that matter, not in the final, because when teams have got an experience of going to the final, of winning the final, and in Real Madrid's, it's not experience of winning it once. Some of them have got 4 or 5 times winning it. And
I was just giving the V's up to United. They've gone out. The
final score, yeah.
And crying United fans. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, there we go. Right,
that's the thing. We've got them over 2 legs now.
I apologise for the language. Carry on. Sorry,
we've got them in 2 legs now. So I think we are set up to beat them. I think we'll win. And I think I said on this show 2 weeks ago, City AC Milan final in Istanbul.
Right, well, anyway, hang on before we start banging on about the bloody finals.
Yeah,
this is not Real Madrid. We're not going to talk about Real Madrid. We'll save that one.
Yeah.
We're not doing Real Madrid. We're not doing final talk.
Real rant about Real Madrid.
No. Save it. The point of the collapse was, I don't think we've collapsed this season. Last season, yes. A dodgy 20 minutes in a game ain't no collapse for me. It's a dodgy 20 minutes.
That's semantics.
No, but it's not, Rich. We had a dodgy 20 minutes. No, it's not, Rich, because that Tottenham game, for example, we battered them for 35 minutes. We'd had all the chances.
Yeah.
Absolutely wiped the floor with
Isn't
it.
that
And we
what?
had 2 chances and
That's
scored.
what, I think that's
That's
the
not
point.
a collapse. That's football, Rich.
It is, but football
Not
has collapses
collapse.
in it.
A collapse is Real Madrid last season, Rich.
I think that's,
No.
I think that's semantics, honestly.
If
I
that's
think
a collapse, Rich. Football ain't for you, mate.
some people would call. Well, it is for me clearly, and I'm
That's
just saying,
so. You're telling me then a dodgy 10 or 15 minutes is a
It's a
collapse?
collapse, yeah, it is. It is.
yeah.
Oh,
For a team like us, who
never be a
performs
football
like we
manager.
do, Martin. For a team like us who performs the way we do, a collapse for City isn't the same as a collapse for Oldham, right?
I disagree with
different sets. But the reality is, after the first goals by Tottenham and United, we suffered, if you want to call it a temporary collapse to help your use of the English language, fair enough. We suffered temporary collapses where the teams became totally disorganised.
I understand
totally
what you're saying,
dysfunctional,
a coach on Sunday morning in 10 years, and my team's often had 10-minute dodgy spells. As all teams have a 10-minute dodgy spell.
Yeah, well, your team
it just happens. I didn't sit in my team talk and go, "You collapse there, lads."
Well, that's because managers don't. Managers are there to motivate and boost.
Nobody can own the game for 90 minutes. They can't, Rich. That's not football. Ain't a computer game.
But Martin, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about. No. What we're talking about by collapse, and I use of the word collapse.
I'm going to look up the word collapse.
When something goes against you, and then you fall apart. I'll use the word fall apart instead, and your structure goes, your mentality goes, and your physicality goes for a period of time. You've fallen apart temporarily. You've collapsed temporarily. You've gone temporarily, whatever word you want to use. But I mean, why would argue about how an English language?
Thank you, Ray P. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
A collapse isn't temporary. Exactly.
Yes, but you can rebuild. A bridge can collapse and you rebuild the bridge. You can rebuild your structure in a game. It doesn't mean it hasn't collapsed, but you've rebuilt it. The difference is that in the Spurs game, half-time came and we fixed ourselves and we came out second half and we won, 4-2 wasn't it?
Rich,
against United, we did collapse.
We'll move on because I don't want to have a big debate about collapse.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if we'd have had a dodgy 45 minutes, then you go in and you move. For 35 minutes in that game, we had all the best chances, battered them from pillar to post, and for the last 10 minutes, we just switched off. No,
collapse. Collapse. Yes, that's a collapse, Martin.
Yeah.
And then it's not a collapse, is something structurally falling apart.
Martin, that
and needing to rebuild it, Alan.
Yeah, that a collapse can be figurative or it can be, literal. Martin.
A collapse is falling on the floor and struggling to get back up. We've never struggled to get back up this season.
We did against United.
When United scored that goal, it wasn't really a goal. Our heads completely went and we collapsed.
No, your head went. Alan, your head goes at 3-0.
I love it. We've got who was that guy in Blackadder who wrote the dictionary?
Amazes me how some City fans still lived 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, but mate, unfortunately, we went through hell and came back from it.
Right, but Alan, we've got the best manager in the world with some of the best players in the world. Can we start acting like it sometimes? I'm not saying, listen, I was spot on. I've always said respect the past, embrace the future. And I understand City-itis will never die. I do it. Let's not go down this road of we've collapsed, we're crap. We were 4-0 up last night and you were having kittens when they scored a penalty with 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go, you were having a kittens fit, thinking they were going to bag 3 goals in 5 minutes.
Anyway, I'm just wondering who Vater's going to channel, because Martin,
just chill, relax.
We've got you, Martin, channeling Samuel Johnson and Alan channeling Brian Potter. Who's Vater going to come back? Ryan Reynolds, I reckon. He's going to come back. You've
got Rich channeling down the Allen Road of everything's a collapse because you can see the goal. That's a collapse. You can see the goal, lads.
Martin, if you'd actually listened, Alan said...
When did listen? You
talking
said
about
the
last
United
night,
game.
Alan said,
I never said. I said we didn't collapse.
yeah,
Which we
United
have
collapsed
before.
tonight. United collapsed against Seville last
Oh, yeah.
week and again tonight.
They've done, mate,
Yeah,
you
but
watch-
thank you.
Listen, when you watch a stream or if you've got your phone next to you, put United game. You watch the comedy of errors the United have done at the back today. It's hilarious.
That's a collapse. That's a collapse.
Mate, the comedy, the goalkeeping error, and the Harry Maguire again, superb.
Alan wasn't this happy when City won last night.
Mate, I was
Anyway.
sat downstairs watching the first half, laughing my head off. I couldn't stop laughing.
Anyway,
Harry Maguire.
Yeah, but I think the point was, Martin. The point that was made was that
our team's
last
crap
night-
and we shouldn't be anywhere near anything.
The point was made that last night, because Brian actually said we didn't collapse last night. So, and that was the point. We never at any point lost our head. We never conceded. We remained solid. And since Ruben Diaz has come back and got his form and fitness, I think he's ensured that we don't mentally drop our heads or whatever term to be used so that we don't have an argument about it. But we don't drop our heads. We don't lose concentration. We don't fall apart, whatever word you want to use, because the current team, whether it's Diaz supported by Stones, has the mentality to just keep going.
I don't even know where to even go. Anyway, right. Swiftly, moving on. I get amazed. Sometimes I just get shell shocked by Blues.
Do you know what would be good? I'm just thinking if you do the highlights of the United the Seville goals, is have Benny Hill's tune going to it at the same time. It would be so funny.
It'd be funny if you were this happy when City won.
I think you should go and you should probably go on TalkSport or Goldbridge's channel because
mate, it was,
I just want to know. Captain Harris got a good point. Have you been invited on the terrace tonight, Bayer? You've been invited on tonight. Anyway, let's move then. We're obviously into the semi-final, but we've got a big game before that. Down at Wembley.
Sheffield United.
No.
For
one of us. Yes, I am going.
Every time that he goes down to Wembley, we lose.
Factually incorrect.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure he was there.
I've been to nearly every single Wembley game we've been to, Alan, in the last God knows how long, and I think we've won.
We win nearly all of those. So
I don't know where Alan's getting into this. You see what I mean? This is what you're turning into, Rich. Every time he does this, you're going down that road all of a sudden now.
No, I said we normally win.
Oh dear! Right,
brilliant!
Let's move to Sheffield United. Big game for me. Now I've seen some people want to roll out their reserves. Blah blah blah. I'm in 110, Andrew. 110. Block 110. Row 27, I think.
Are you going on with you with your kiddie and your missus? Are you all going down with the family? Kiddie?
I'm going down with my children, yes.
Yeah. Your missus going as well? Is that a family day out?
No, my wife is not going.
Okay.
Anyway. Remember the days when I used to host these shows? Do you remember them days? They were often good.
This is morning for you, so this is a great start of the day.
Mate, I'm going to have a great day canvassing all my new business. I'm going to tell every client that United was like watching a comedy show. It'd be brilliant.
Anyway, later.
Yeah, sorry.
Know where we're even going.
Sheffield. And you're talking about reserves. A lot of people want to.
Yeah, a lot of people are going down the reserve road Saturday. Are you thinking the same? Or are you thinking Pep not going to do
Not fully reserves. And I'm glad we got a chance to talk a little earlier today. I think Ortega, he's earned the right to continue to start as keeper for the cup runs. Defensively is where I'll be honest, I'm a little torn because I saw what just happened with Ake and a hamstring, a little strain. I know how valuable Stones is. He might be another player that might choose to sit, just be precautionary, knowing that we should get a result without him. I know I'm going to be in disagreement with some of you for sure, Martin, but I do think Phillips should start this game. I think
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think Rodri's too valuable to risk as a start. And if we surround Phillips with sound key starters in terms of the midfield, that's calm, sub them off later. I think that I would go that route. And then this is where I concede. I thought Palmer could get a chance here, but if Foden is, and like you mentioned, he's been on the bench for Champions League, he should really test that body, see if he's okay for a couple, take those bruises, those shoulder barges. Then yeah, we go with Foden, Holland, and Mahrez, or Foden, Holland, and Albert. I don't know, but midfield strong, defense strong, with the exception of Stones not being in that.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you completely. I think the Arsenal game is, for me, our biggest game since, I mean, I apart from the end of season games, because obviously when we played Villa or when we played Brighton, when we played QPR, they were matches to win the title. But the Arsenal game for me is the biggest regular season game since the United home game in 2012 when Company got the winner. We are playing a final, which is basically to win the league. I've got, for example, I've got no doubt if Arsenal beat City, Arsenal win the league. I've got no doubt if City beat Arsenal, we win the league. If it's a draw, I think the league's open. It's on. They're slightly ahead of us, but we've got games in hand and a better run. So I think it's an absolutely massive game. So for me, I would be looking at our team and saying which players, if they got injured, even if it was only a week or two's injury, which players, if they got injured, would materially affect the Arsenal game. And therefore my worries would be, we need a left-sided defender. So against Arsenal. So I'd definitely not be starting the port. We need Rodri. So I'd definitely not be starting Rodri. After that, most of the other positions, even if Haaland got injured, we've got Alvarez. If Grealish got injured, we've got Foden. If, with Bernardo, De Bruyne and Gundogan, if we play two of them and one of them gets injured, we've got the other one. So I kind of feel that we should play, ideally, from that pool of 17 players that Pep trusts. I would want at least, and you make it 18 if Ortega's there, I would want probably 10 of the team to come from that group. The exception being Phillips, because I think we can't risk playing Rodri. And therefore, we've either got to put Stones in midfield, we've got to put Gundogan like against United, where we did play really well.
Do you know what I would do, Rich? Do you know what I would do? You're not talking about left side. I play Rico on weekend because he can.
I think Rico
and then I play Walker on that right hand side.
Do you know what? I'd probably play Rico right and Walker left because I think Walker's got much more experience to go.
Hang on. Before you say all that, is anyone inverting?
Yeah, Rico.
I think we have to. I think
so you want Rico alongside Phillips. You'll get absolutely mullered in the midfield. Do you do that?
Why?
Mullered.
So you get.
Why?
Why?
Do you want the examples?
Martin.
Southampton away. Leicester last week.
Stones can do that alongside. Phillips. The fact is, we
Is
can't.
that because Phillips?
We cannot risk throwing away the Premier League because we're too frightened to not play.
This is the problem, Rich. It's the problem. We're playing down this road of prioritising again. And I don't think Pep's going to play that game. No, I don't think he'll play that game again.
Played
that game last time, it failed.
Do you want to win trophies or do you want to win nothing? Because if we want
to
win
you're basically throwing the FA Cup out the door then?
No, I'm not throwing the FA Cup because we are plenty good enough to beat Sheffield United with 3 or 4
plenty good enough to beat Southampton away in the Carabao Cup, Rich, and absolutely fell on our ass.
Yeah, and that was the Carabao Cup against a better opponent.
So we've gone from collapsing. Now we're being arrogant.
You cannot pretend that a Carabao Cup.
Rich is right.
Cannot pretend that a Carabao Cup knockout game away at Southampton is as big an occasion as a semi-final at Wembley. You cannot pretend that the Carabao Cup's as big as the FA Cup, and you cannot pretend that because something once went wrong, we have to make the same mistakes that the English clubs make year after year after year and screws up their season and hands inferior Real Madrid Champions Leagues because we overplay, because we're too...
You can bang your what's it against
Martin.
It is fact. If you overplay players, we will go into Real Madrid with no Rodri. Do you want to go into Real Madrid or Arsenal or a final with no Rodri, or do you want to risk no Rodri against Sheffield United? It's a no-brainer.
Phillips plays for England, mate. So what are you talking about? So you might as well just say, Phillips, go home and sit in your armchair for the rest of the season. Don't ever come back. You just don't.
He plays
for England, mate. He plays for England.
Chat Rob well did, Alan. What's the point?
Yeah, we still, mate.
My point is, Martin, you want us to throw
the England argument, Alan, because Chat Rob played for England.
Martin, the point is, you want a short-term fix because you're scared about Saturday that could potentially disrail a whole season.
No, Rich, I'm just not arrogant about prioritising trophies.
It's got nothing to do with arrogance. It's got to do with
arrogance, Rich.
No. It's not arrogance. It's the exact opposite. No. It's the exact opposite of arrogance. I have said that we cannot play Rodri every game for the rest of this season, or he will be injured, or he will be out. We've seen that. We lost a Champions League final. 2 years ago because we overplayed Rodri. He lost fitness and form, and we had to cobble together sides for the last few games. And we lost the semi-final as well that year. So overplaying Rodri cost us arguably a quadruple 2 years ago. And we've learned from that mistake, and we know that we have to rotate. And
Phillips will play. They've lost 2 of their best midfield players as well, which are our lads anyway.
Absolutely.
Can anyone tell me what the team was against Burnley?
That was before an international break with 2 weeks.
There's no point in saying out there.
Well,
what you're doing is...
Martin, you can say...
I would love to be sat next to Martin at Wembley when he announced the teams, when he flips his brain.
I'd love to be sat next to Martin when City's doctor looks at him and thinks, right, so we have to play the same 11 players for 90 minutes for 18 games on the trot in.
Okay, then. Let me throw you this right.
That's a good idea.
Rich, as I said, you just said the Carabao Cup. That's what annoyed me, because you came out with that. It's the Carabao Cup. Who cares? If any City fans doing that, give your head a wobble. Give your head a wobble.
Martin, I didn't say who cares. I like the Carabao Cup.
That was the insinuation coming out.
No, the insinuation coming out is that we have the Premier thing, and you would never argue about this. You've said this probably 1,000 times on this channel. Our priority.
I've said 1,000 times on this channel is.
You've said 1,000 times on this channel. Every season, our priority is the Premier League. Our season is successful by winning the Premier League. That is our priority.
Rich, right? Can I speak now? You've had your 10-minute rant.
You're going to go down the rabbit hole and say you put the Premier League.
Rich, there's no point in me being on here if you're just going to scream over me.
Well, hang on. Listen, he's entitled to his own opinion, but you just try and talk him over the top of him all the time.
No, I'm not, Alan. I'm hosting the show, and all you want to do is shout over everyone. You're hosting it. So let me host it, Alan. There's no point in screaming at me. You know, City can be 5-0 up and you're sitting
That's
there.
the question, Martin. Medically, we are going to need to give Rodri some rest. So, would you rest him against Arsenal and play him against Sheffield?
I've been asked about 18 questions. Alan, please don't do that.
Yeah,
You get
Martin, would you play Rodri against Sheffield and then rest him against Arsenal?
Say that again.
Would you? Rodri's going to need rest right this season. So would you be resting him in the Premier League then and playing him in the FA Cup? Is that what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is, let me explain. I said on here 6 months ago, and you can go back. You know I said this. I said, what is the point in going all the way to an FA Cup final and beating Arsenal and beating Chelsea and doing everything we did with majority strongest teams? Because other than I think Bristol City, he's rolled out nearly everybody within the games. What was the whole point in doing that? Because I said if we were going to do anything in the Champions League, we'd be right back in the same situation as we were as Liverpool last year. And if you remember, he did that against Liverpool, rolled out all the reserves, and we got spanked. And all the fans came out of Wembley majorly pissed off. Spending 80 quid on a ticket to be rolled out like that. Here's my point back. And I said 6 months ago, we're going to end up right back in the same situation if we're not very careful. What you've just described is the exact same situation of what my whole worry was coming down this road. And this is why a treble is damn hard. I don't think, what my point is, you're all going, Calvin Phillips is international, Calvin Phillips is this. Calvin Phillips has hardly played. Calvin Phillips has been fit for 5 months. Whether you want to admit that or not, he has. He has not been trusted. So why all of a sudden are we in an FA Cup semi-final and all of a sudden he's trusted? That ain't how Pep works.
Martin, I think what we're saying is our ability to win the Champions League and win the Premier League requires Rodri fit for the rest of the season. He's the most important player in our team. We require him fit.
I'm not disputing that.
We have to.
It was to Alan when he said Lewis and Phillips together. That would be a disaster to me. Not good. They're not good enough. You saw it against Leicester City, who I would put roughly on par with Sheffield United right now, because they're probably going to swap places. We did that on Sunday. You saw when KDB, Grealish, everyone went bye-bye. We were awful. We were all over the shop. Calvin Phillips came out on national TV and said, I was poor. I was poor. So I am not sat here with any agenda on Calvin Phillips. I am giving you factual information from his own lips.
Yeah, and Martin,
no semi-final against a flying Sheffield United. I just think because he didn't do it against Burnley. I know you're going to say it's internationals, but he still didn't. You've got to have the respect of your opponent. Don't go in with this. Oh, it's Sheffield United. We can roll them over job.
But Martin, the point is, we would like to play Rodri every game, and we'd like a reserve Rodri.
Never said play Rodri. Never said play Rodri.
Okay. Right. So I think Martin's point, and this is where I probably agree with both of you, is I actually would play Phillips, but I think, Martin has a good point on the Phillips list. If we play Stones can invert, and Stones is world class in that position. I think Stones can step up from centre back to do that role alongside Phillips in that midfield. I think there's a massive difference from Southampton, because Southampton we had didn't we have like Laporte, who hadn't played in 4 months, and Kyle Walker playing centre back, and then we had Gomez playing. I'm not suggesting we play them. I think you're playing the likes of, you're probably resting Laporte because we need a left-sided defender, but you're going to play Walker right back, I'd imagine. And I think we're probably going to play Stones and, whoever. Probably it might be Stones and Akanji. They might give Diaz a rest. I don't know. But you're going to play a solid defence. But I think we look at it and we say the players we cannot afford to get injured now, with Ake injured, is Rodri, Laporte, and we keep them safe. And apart from that, we probably play a pretty strong team. I'd actually start Haaland. I think he'd quite like to go and get a few goals.
If anyone had have asked me, I'll tell you
what.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Play Gundogan as your 6.
Yeah, we might, play Gundogan there.
My whole point is not against Calvin Phillips. My whole point is Calvin Phillips. Nothing to do with that, Alan.
But his point's fair, Alan. Phillips is not playing well, Alan.
You are rolling out for an FA Cup semi-final.
I'd play Phillips. No, I just think it's necessity.
No, Alan.
Yeah,
the thing is,
I'd probably start Phillips at necessity.
This is going to be Sheffield United's cup final.
The 2 best midfielders not playing. Theirs.
Yeah.
There are players.
Okay, all right. So you're telling me that a 2-man team.
McAtee and Doyle out there, midfield's gone. They're not playing.
All right. So you're telling me then they're a 2-man team.
They're the 2
No,
best
I think
players.
what we're saying is they're probably the weakest team we're going to play in the rest of this season.
No, what I'm saying, I agree with that.
If we have to rest players, we're going to rest them against
I always look at Burnley and Sheffield United on par with an Everton, on par with a Leicester. Because I genuinely think that when you go to the bottom of the Premier League and the very top of the Championship,
a bit crap then, basically.
Right? I accept that, Rich.
So they're high on confidence, aren't they?
Exactly. They're going to come into challenges hard as nails on us.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want. That's why I don't want players getting injured.
There's a difference between. For me, I think Pep Guardiola on Saturday against Leicester for the last 25 minutes did what he did. And it's just my opinion, but I've been thinking about it. I think he thought, I'm going to give this 11 a go. If they perform, that will be my 11 for the FA Cup semi-final. I think he realised in that 25 minutes, I can't do it because they'll get beat, and I can't do it. And you know yourself, Rich, we had no midfield in that last 25 minutes. We were all over the shop.
I think he's thinking beyond. I think he's.
And the opened us like a can of beans. Yeah. The opened us like a can of beans, mate. And you know what he did.
I think he's thinking that a lot of these players have, 900 minutes left in them in the next 7 weeks. And every time I can have a player off for 45 minutes, that is an extra 45 minutes I can get from them in a semi-final or against Brighton, where we might have to put, at the moment with the Real Madrid game, we've got two games in 48 hours. I'm assuming they'll move our Premier League game forward to give us 3 days, but we are going to get really brittle. And every minute that Pep saves our important players is a minute they don't get injured by an opponent doing something or an action in a game that causes an injury. And it's minutes that you can add on to them later in the season because they're less fatigued. So,
you know where I am with Phillips, and we'll move to Alan on this. And it's fine. It's all opinions. Like Blue Arts just said, I don't think he's in the right mindset. I don't think he's there. I think Calvin Phillips, if he stays next season, needs to reset and go back in the summer. And if he's going to stay, he needs to prove himself in pre-season again. I keep saying it. Calvin Phillips is not a child. He's not 21 years old. 28. You just said that as an England international. When he walked out for England last time, he was bobbins. I think it's just his whole order right now. He's just no confidence. It's flat on the floor completely. And my issue is, if he rolls out on Saturday and we get beat, the pitchforks will come for him. And they will come bad for him. And I just think at the minute, for Calvin Phillips, he needs to be taken completely out of it for the rest of the season and refocus back for the summer. Forget this season, write it off, and we've got other things that can go into that CDM role.
All right. All right. Well, hang on, Rich. All right. Who'd you play?
Gundogan. CDM.
But then you're playing Gundogan.
Gundogan didn't play against Leicester, Rich, remember?
Yeah, but then you're playing all three of them and playing three of the older players.
But Rich, we've got to play some of them. With no choice. Again, back to my point. We came down this road. It's not a reserve team going out on Saturday. Anyone is thinking the EDS are rolling out Saturday, give up.
No one's thinking that, but we are thinking if there's 3 or 4 players who need the rest to be at their best for Arsenal.
Right, so who are you taking out?
Well, firstly, I've not sat down with our doctors and our physios to know. This is the $1 billion industry. You know, the Arsenal game is a
good minds.
It's a huge game. So what I would be doing is I would be looking at, if I was Pep, I'd be looking at which players can I not afford to lose for Arsenal.
Can't rest
Which
everyone.
Players, if they got injured, would I not be able to replace for Arsenal? And there's probably 2-3 players like that, and I'd say, right, you're going to rest. Then I'd be asking my doctors and physios which players are at 100%, which players can play those 2 games, no problem. And he'd probably come back, and most of the players are probably absolutely fine to play both games, no problem.
Okay.
They might say Gundogan's at 85%. You know, you'd be better off not playing them both times. And I'd look at those, and then I'd pick my Arsenal team.
Okay, Rich. We don't have that information. We don't have that information. Yeah. So again, which 4 are you bringing out to rest for Arsenal?
Which 4? I would definitely rest. I'd definitely take Laporte and Rodri out.
So Laporte's out, Rodri's out.
Yeah, and then I would not play both De Bruyne and Gundogan.
So De Bruyne and Gundogan have gone.
Yeah.
Haaland?
And then Haaland I'd start against United. He's you know, if he's raring to go ready to start. And then I'd look honestly on the wide forwards. You know, I'd be reasonably relaxed because I actually think if Foden and Alvarez and Mahrez and Grealish are all top players in form. If I'd rest one of the forwards,
who would you leave out? Name the team for the weekend, Rich. And then Martin. Then Martin can name his team.
Well, I think
I'm with Jula. I'm with you.
Ortega starts. I think because I'm giving Rodri a rest, we've got to start Stones. You know.
No. Listen, goalkeeper.
Ortega, right fullback.
Right fullback. Right. 2 centre halves.
And assuming, because he's had a lot of time off, I think I'd probably go strong and go Stones and Stones, Diaz, and Akanji, but we've got to have one of them who's playing left.
Who's playing left?
Hang on, right. Before we do this, stop.
No. Because you 2 are arguing about who you're dropping and shit, right? So name your left-sided mid-defensive player.
Yeah, that is a problem. You know, it really's got to be who we think, and it may have to be Akanji or Walker, whoever can best play left back, because we haven't.
If it's Walker, who's playing right full back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you could play Akanji right full back and play Walker left.
All right, midfield.
I'd start Phillips.
Right,
I agree with everything Martin said, except the only way Phillips fixes himself is on the pitch in a game.
Correct.
And that's the problem. He could have another shocker, but the only way he is going to get his confidence back is in a proper game.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
who else are you going to play in central midfield?
I think probably Bernardo, because I think Bernardo's got rest. Yeah. And to me at the moment,
Bernardo's played 3 games on the bounce, Rich.
But he looks he's had a lot of time off this season, and he looks fresh. And as I don't have the medical information, I'm thinking that he's.
I know.
Who are you playing in the midfield?
Alan, who's hosting this show?
My gut says De Bruyne, because I thought Gundo looked a bit tired last night, but that may have just been the game. I'd prefer to play Gundo and rest De Bruyne for Arsenal, but that would be a medical decision. And up front, Foden's fit. I'd bring Foden back. I think the space at Wembley is perfect for him. I'd start Haaland and probably Mahrez or Alvarez. Alvarez will thrive in the space at Wembley. Mahrez probably against a lower league left back. Either of those two I'd be happy with. And if Foden's not fit, Mahrez and Alvarez I'd be happy with. Give Grealish a bit of a rest for Arsenal.
Absolutely, I agree with you. What about you, Mark?
It's just resting 3 or 4 key players.
Martin, who are you picking? Name your two. And I'll name mine after if you want.
Right, okay. Well, you name your team first.
All right, fair enough. I'll go Ortega, Walker, Stones, Diaz. I'll have Rico at fullback, who inverts. I'll have the CDM. I'll have Phillips. I've got the same opinion as you, Rich. I'll have midfield. I'd have. It's a difficult one, this one, I think, personally. The midfield. I want to rest the two. I would play Palmer in midfield because I think he could do it instead of KDB. Bernardo, I'd have him in there. Up front, I'd have Alvarez, Foden on the left, and Mahrez on the right.
So what was your midfield again?
Phillips, Palmer playing instead of KDB.
Palmer,
right? He's played in there before, and done all right, to be fair. And probably Bernardo.
So who's controlling midfield?
Bernardo and Phillips. But Bernardo has played in there before a lot of times, and you know he has.
Yeah, right. Palmer has hardly played all season, and we're rolling him out into a semi-final.
Well, you name your side, and we'll see if it's better than mine, which is fine.
It's not about what better. We've got to look. What you got to look at is what Pep's been doing.
Yeah,
I think sometimes we're getting in this habit of just rolling players to rolling out players because he's not played for ages. Yeah. Palmer was. I'm sorry, people ain't gonna like this, but Palmer was dog against Leicester, Alan. He was dog. We're picking players who's simpler and not in the motion. We might as well throw Sergio Gomez at the left back. You know, and it's all opinions, but someone said Peroni. Peroni's not even been getting on the bench recently. No, and we're rolling him into a semi-final. I know, but this is our squad. We said last week the squad depth is not as big as what we all think it was.
Oh, I agree with you.
Who would you play, Martin? Who would you play, just out of interest?
Me, I think personally, I don't think we'll invert on Saturday. I think we'll just go with the flat back 4. I think it'll be Walker, Laporte, Diaz, and either Stones on a Kanja. I can't tell which one it'll be. With Ortega.
Yeah.
In the midfield, I don't know what he's going to do. He may give Rodri a rest. He may not.
I think he will give Rodri a rest.
Gundogan is DM.
Yep.
KDB. And possibly. See.
Would you play Bernardo?
Yeah, probably would. And I think it'll be Mahrez. See, we could even throw Alvarez into that number 10 role instead of KDB. It's either going to be Alvarez or KDB in that 10. And I think it'll be Mahrez, Haaland, Foden.
Okay.
Be good to see Foden back.
But the simple fact is Foden needs minutes in legs. If he's going to play any kind of minutes against Arsenal, he needs to come on and play about 60 minutes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree with you.
Or you can forget him for Arsenal. It'd be,
Yeah,
for me, it'd be suicidal to throw him into a cold folding into an Arsenal.
I agree with you. I 100% agree about you.
The problem is, I get everyone wants to do now. Listen, Pep might totally throw all this out the window and throw Sergio Gomez, Phillips, and everyone out, and Palmer out, and all that. And then that tells me he's not serious about the game. And only because the simple fact is, I look at the Burnley game, and I know it was for international break, but he looked at Burnley and he talked about Burnley a lot, about being very dangerous, and they're on a run of form. And if we all remember that first 20 minutes at home, Burnley could have been 1 or 2 up.
Yeah,
good football.
And it was also playing against his protege.
Yeah, but you can't judge the form of the Championship sides. I mean, that's a reality. It's a bit like racing a horse from a different country that you never seen race. I mean, you're relying on a lot less information than you would normally. And I think the one thing to bear in mind, all of us need to bear in mind is, we're all conscious of, mistakes. I think probably primarily talking about Arsenal and Liverpool semi-finals where we've gone. But I think what we've got to...
sorry, just on that, Rich, that Leeds game's been moved. Don't look at that Leeds game anymore. It's getting moved. Good. The Leeds game is getting moved. It's been confirmed. They haven't put
up just have to be moved forward a day, though, because they can't shift it.
They're either moving it forward to the Saturday, but, I don't know, Rich. I know they are, because Real Madrid and City both requested to move us to the Wednesday night, but UEFA declined it. So they're going to move the Leeds game instead. We're not playing Sunday and then rolling out Tuesday.
Martin, can I ask you a question? Do you have like a vote? Can you do a voting thing on the chat? Can you do like a question and a vote thing on the chat for this?
Not for the full 11, Alan.
No, not for the full 11. Saying who would you pick as the CDM at the weekend? Let them have their say. And who would you pay as CDM? Would you play Phillips or would you pay somebody else? And who would it be?
Okay, right. You're going down Alan. You're going down the Phillips Road, and I'm intrigued by it. Why are you going down the Phillips Road?
Because the only way he's going to get confidence, right, and get better and get his confidence back is by playing. You can't do that sat on the side watching.
Right, but all right then. Is Pep doing him wrong then by not playing him?
Well, no, I get what you're saying, and I agree, but he's not going to get any better if he's not playing. So at some point, you've got to throw him in.
Yeah, I mean, we bought Phillips we bought Phillips primarily so Rodri could get some rest.
Correct.
And that's his job. So I guess all we're saying is that it's time he stepped up and did his job.
People are agreeing with your lineup, Alan.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's fine. It's all opinions, and that's absolutely fine.
It's a good point, though. But this is my point. At least like opinions, but this is my point. Bernardo, Palmer, and Calvin Phillips, who gets the ball forward. You've got no creativity whatsoever in that ball.
No, I think this is where I disagree.
Nobody to move that ball.
I think you need Gundogan or De Bruyne with Bernardo and Phillips. I think
exactly, Pardo. That's the point.
And if you're playing Phillips, you don't play him with a weakened midfield, or you don't play him with weakened centre back.
You're doing Phillips dirty.
You play him in the best.
Can you put a poll? Can you put a poll? Let's see if they want Phillips as CDM at the weekend or not. Can you do what? Can you do that? It'd be interesting to see what they think.
Super City side that looked pretty. The sort of bang on side I'd sort of play. I mean, I think Rico and Walker, that's an option. Strong centre backs. Bernardo and KDB give a strength, which gives Philip a chance because Phillips is then playing with Akanji and Stones behind. Bernardo and KDB, so he's got both Bernardo and Stones that can, and Rico. In fact, in that team, you've got 4 players who can, be in that midfield if needed, and a strong forward line. I mean, I think that's the way we've got to go. Where I disagree with Alan is I don't, you've got that 17 core players, and Phillips and Palmer aren't in that. If we're going to play a player not in that core 17 like Phillips, you cannot put Palmer into that midfield as well, because then you're putting two risks in the
going
three.
right back to Leicester.
You know, I think if you put Phillips in, you need to give him the chance to do it, and that means playing in a reasonably strong side.
You think you'll play KDB?
I think based on the games played recently, Gundo's had a rest, so you'd think it would be Gundo, not KDB. But that's one where they're in their 30s. That's one where the medical staff need to say KDB's good to go today and Wednesday.
The thing is, Rich, look, the trouble is with players. Look at KDB against Bayern. He came off at an absolute hissy fit at Pep.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's not. I know the medical staff.
He does like to play. He does like to play, doesn't he? He moans when he's not playing.
Yeah. But the part I was going to make was KDB. It's like Rodri. I know we're all saying give Rodri a rest, Rodri a rest, Rodri a rest. Rodri's a cyborg. Don't know how he does it. Yeah. But he's actually one of the least injured players. And I know I'm probably tempting fate here, but he just factually is. The guy doesn't get injured.
But he does. Yeah. And he does get overplayed. And he's strengthened since 2 years ago.
With our formation as well. Our formation allows players to have rest during the game. Because that's the way we play. We're not going gun-ho like we used to do. It's now where sometimes we can have the ball for 10, 15 minutes. You see it, the coach just stood there like,
But what worries me, Matt, is when we do have that, the ball is still getting recycled through Rodri the whole time.
Yes, no, of course it is.
Rodri's the one player who I don't think ever gets arrested.
Charlie wants to know, is Walker playing left back in your team, Rich?
Well, to be honest, if I played Walker and Rico, I would rather play the 32-year-old 70-capped England international in the more unfamiliar role than Rico, because I think Rico's played the right-back role really, really well. I think he's played left-back once and he didn't look quite the same. I would play the experienced international out of position rather than the kid. But honestly, Pep's probably seen them in training 1,000 times and he'll know better than me. And if he thinks, Rico's playing left-back, then, he knows it.
My whole point of this is, and this is what I'm trying. I understand what you and Alan are saying, and Alan I do. The point is, though, we're right back to where we were last season. Don't get into this situation if you're going to start playing fiddle. This was always, I said this 6 months ago. We were going to go down this road.
You and I just picked a team that, apart from about one player, was nearly identical. So I don't think anyone...
No, I understand that. I know, but what I'm saying is, it is people who are thinking, rest him. This was always going to be the situation. Go out in the third round if you don't want this situation. Save the legs in the third round and we won't play. You don't beat Arsenal, beat Chelsea.
We did last year. It happened to us last year.
And then hit the semi-final and roll reserves out.
Mate, we did it last year.
Alan, and we got beat.
Yeah, no, we had to because we had a massive game on the Wednesday night.
And I don't think playing
I don't agree of going all that way then.
But Martin, playing two players who are maybe outside, two players outside our core 17 isn't rolling out the reserves. It's bringing in two players.
No, Alan, Nick, I'm not just talking to you. There's comments going on as well.
Okay. And the other thing critical that we've got to remember is, and this will sound a little bit arrogant, but it's not arrogant, is that we rolled out reserves against Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea type sides, and we made 6 or 7 changes.
I'm not doing lineups ever again. Yeah. Lineups are coming off.
Yeah. Sheffield United aren't 21-22 Liverpool.
You know what? In future, can we just go piss off out
not changing 7 players?
I want to go back to Arsenal's position of 1 game a week. It's just so much easier. Gomez is good. BA FIFA.
We do have to trust the players that aren't part of the core 11 in this stint right now. We do have to trust them because we're always going to be on opposite ends with this one, Martin. Because last year with regards to the FA Cup, I think if Pep had played the same players that he wanted in the Champions League, we would not have closed out the season the way we did. He could not. He had to. I agree. Maybe Ederson should have played both games, and we would have not suffered the fate that we had in that FA against Liverpool. But the players that he chose to be on the field, other than keeper, I think he made that wisely because we were.
Okay, what's your 11 then?
For Sheffield.
Yeah, we've done ours. What's your 11?
So Ortega, Walker.
Where? Right or left?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blue Heart.
Oh.
Yeah, you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Yeah. You know what? I'm with you. So Ortega, Rico at right back.
Yeah.
Akanji.
Yeah.
Laporte.
Oh, he's playing Laporte centre half here.
And we put Walker at left back.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the back four.
Okay.
Phillips.
Yeah.
I'm going strong with the midfield. KDB and Gundo. We handle the game 60 minutes. I'm going to sub them off, but we go strong midfield. And then I agree with Martin. We got to get Foden out there, test that body, see if he can take the lumps, take some hits.
Yeah.
I'm having this 11. I'm with Charlie. That's my
Holland.
11. I'm starring that.
I got Holland, and I'm torn between Mahrez or Alvarez. But I think Holland needs to continue on.
Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario from your team. It's a good side. I'm more or less agreeing.
Grealish was playing though, Alec.
Yeah.
Grealish
Well, I want to give you a scenario. You play Laporte at weekend, and he gets injured. We're fucked.
Alan, stop swearing.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that depends on Aki. That depends on Aki. If Aki's back,
he's not coming back by Wednesday. He's not coming back by Wednesday.
Well, that's what I don't know. But if Aki's
we don't know
Wednesday, we are going to need.
I don't know if I would take a chance and start Gomez though.
No. I'd rather play Walker left back out of position.
Play Walker out left back.
Because Walker.
Then who's your two center backs then? Who's the two center backs?
I would go Akanji and maybe Stones.
Right, okay. Go on, last minute, and then we're moving on. Can I just give you the 11 for Burnley, what he did? Ortega, Emerick Laporte, Rico Lewis, Ruben Diaz, Rodri, Walker, De Bruyne, Alvarez, Haaland, Mahrez, Foden.
So apart from resting Rodri, I'd be fine with that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm bang on where Charlie is. That's my team. Ortega, Walker, Diaz, Stones, Laporte, Rodri, Gundo, KDB, Grealish, Alvarez, Mahrez.
Can't play Rodri.
No Rodri.
No Rodri. Playing Rodri is basically gambling the rest of our season.
You don't know where he is on the. As you just said, you don't know where he is medically.
No, I don't care where he is. He could be perfect. No Rodri, because he is going to have a monster game against Arsenal. He's going to have a monster game. Let's rest that guy.
I want Rodri in. What was that baddie in Ghostbusters? The Marshmallow Man. I want Rodri in a marshmallow suit.
Bubble
can't
Boy.
even trip over the cat. You know,
Bubble Boy
sitting
from
at home
Seinfeld.
on the
Bubble
lounge, resting. You know.
Hang on. Whoa. Well, what's put here? Someone's put. And what? Where's Neil put here? Whoa. Phillips and Perone as a double pivot. No, you're just winding me right up there, aren't you?
I think he's winding
Not
you
really
up.
No, I don't think he does FIFA. Listen, Peroni can't even get on the bench most games, and we're rolling him out into a semi. This is what I mean. Can we just can't? We'll be playing Carson in net in a minute. Can we have a little bit of respect on Sheffield United?
Blue Hearts asked we move on before they have to have another can of spinach.
We are going to move on. But if you think I'm paying 80 quid a ticket to roll out to watch Pirelli
Oh,
play,
it's all about you now, is it? About you going down to Wembley, and it's not about Man City. So if they play all these,
Alan, it is a bit of a no. Alan, this is the point.
Martin, it's not going to start Corona, so you don't have to worry.
No, this is what annoyed fans last. No, but Alan, it is a fact though. It did annoy fans last year though, because they spent hundreds of quid to go down there and get that.
Right.
It was against an informed.
Yeah, but the transit's working this year, right?
What?
Transit, because it wasn't the tubes weren't working last.
Yeah, but I've seen the price of trains. It's like double what they used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
no. My whole point is, and I will die on a hill on this. If you're not going to take the semi-final seriously, don't get there.
We're taking.
Sorry, I'm sticking on it. Don't get there.
No, Rodri means we're not taking it serious.
Taking it seriously.
Do an Arsenal and go out. Say bye-bye.
We're taking it seriously. And
Alan's not. He's stuck bloody Palmer and what's it in the middle?
I'm just laughing at your reaction because you're paying all this cash to get down there, and then Pep's going to turn out with his second team, and you're going to go mad before the game starts because you'll be texting me. I promise you. I know you will.
One thing I'm sure we can all.
Let me get the team up for Liverpool last year.
One thing we can all agree on is the semi-final shouldn't be at Wembley. It should be at
Villa Park. Yeah,
it should be at Villa Park. You know, or even one of the grounds, or even Allen Road.
I've got it. I've got it.
No, Rodri doesn't mean we're not taking it serious, Martin.
No. Wait. Alan put Cole Palmer and Phillips into the midfield alongside Bernardo.
Okay. All right, my bad. I didn't hear that part.
I'm like, wait. Right, the 11. Oh, I'm trying to bloody get it. Hang on. Man City 2, Liverpool 3.
Later, he'll be texting you, right, just before kickoff, when the team's announced an hour before, and it's the second team. And he'll be texting you furious because he's
right.
80
the lineups, hang on. The lineup for last season in the FA Cup semi-final was this as follows. Zach Steffen in goal, João Cancelo, John Stones, Ake, who wasn't getting in the team at the time, Zinchenko, Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, who wasn't getting in, Foden, Gabriel Jesus, Jack Grealish, Raheem Sterling. He had Diaz on the bench, Gundogan on the bench, Laporte, who was playing, Rodri was playing, who was playing at the time, was on the bench, De Bruyne was on the bench, Mahrez was on the bench, Ederson was on the bench, Delap and Lavia.
Grealish played false 9, if I remember, too.
Yeah,
I think Grealish
Liverpool, then Alisson, TAA, Kanate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Caneto, Fabinho, Thiago, Salah, Mane, Diaz.
Yeah, they were fully strength out.
Yeah, so they went serious and we didn't. And they were in the Champions League at the same time.
And they fell short in the league.
Yeah.
No, I know. But Vader, this is my point. This is what I'm saying, and I said to you about this treble. A treble is hard because you have to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why trebles very rarely get done, because you have to have a squad to get through it.
Yeah, and that's why
other than our 15 or 16, it gets very thin. Very thin.
Yeah.
And I know people are like Perone, Gomez and all them, but they're not even been getting minutes in any games, hardly.
Yeah.
And we're rolling them out into the semi-final. It's just a little bit of madness to do it, if you ask me.
Okay, let me ask you this. Sorry. Full strength team. How many minutes are they playing?
60.
Me, I would go 60 minutes, go 3-4-0 up, and then get off. Okay. I'm always a believer of get the game won, then sub.
Okay. So let's keep that in mind. They're going to be short. They're going to play an hour and get subbed off. Let's also keep in mind that key players can't afford even a little, what do they call it? A niggle. Even a little, can't, because we're playing 4 days later.
We're not even there yet, Mudder. My rant was a good one.
So which players can we not afford to have a little? Those would be the players I'm rotating. Just
no, but all the players we're rotating are all the key guys.
I think I can't afford any type of with Rodri. I can't.
This is the problem in it, Vader. This is the way you get. This is my whole thing. And I said this last season. We last season, if you look, we didn't send the kids to Peterborough. We didn't send the kids to Swindon. Mm-hmm. We were rolling out first teamers all the time. And you're like, all right, then he's taking it. And then we got to a semi-final, not thinking about, hang on a minute, if we're in a semi-final of the Champions League, this is where we're going to be. And it's not even a Champions League anymore. This is because it's Arsenal.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a situation of he's done it again this season. We played Arsenal, knocked him out. We bragged to Arsenal about 3 games a week is great and it's brilliant and you're out of it. And now we're sticking Gomez and everyone else into a team in the semi-final.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Martin, the original point you made there, Martin, I think beautifully illustrated the argument I was putting forward. Liverpool played a full-strength team in that semi-final. They then lost a Champions League final because of exhaustion. I don't think anyone can argue that City and Liverpool were both better than Real Madrid last year. But City went out to Real Madrid because we had more defensive injuries than, we basically had Diaz, Stones, Walker, either dropping like flies in the game or not even able to start. And that is why we went out to Real Madrid, because if Walker had been on the pitch, they weren't getting a look in when Walker was on the pitch. And they were all tired. They were all injured. They were coming back from injury or they were missing. Liverpool got to the Champions League final. My criticism of Klopp for 5 years, and even going back to Dortmund, is he overplays his players. I think the Mane at Munich is finished by being overplayed. I think Torres got ruined by being overplayed. And that's before Klopp. But had they rested and rotated 7 players in that semi-final and done that once or twice in the league, they may well be champions of Europe now. So thank goodness they didn't. But that is what I want to avoid for City. But we cannot drop 6 or 7 players. We've showed that in the past. When we rotate, it's got to be 2 or 3. And when you've got the people who are on that not trusted list, like Phillips, Palmer, and Gomez, you can't be starting 3 or 4 of them. You can probably try and get away with one. You get away with one with good players around them, and I think help them play back into form. And that's what we've got to do, because that Arsenal game, that is our biggest regular season game since United 2012 at the Etihad, and it is going to be immense. And
I'm saying, Ryan, it's not the time to roll Peroni out. Time and a place for Peroni.
That'll be next year.
I think he'll be on loan next year.
We don't have to roll him out as a starter, but he does need to touch the pitch. If, to your point, if we're 75th minute and he wants to take off a midfielder, let's see what he does.
Evening, Pat.
Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I was just listening to all of you, like very good debate. Alan, how you doing? Long time no see. I just wanted to say something, just one thing. If by any chance, right? I know some people are not rating him. Some people say he's not good enough. But if by any chance I don't see Phillips on the pitch tomorrow to give a bit of rest to Rodri, who's looked a bit tired in the Bayern game later at the later stages. If by any chance he doesn't sit on that pitch, I can just guarantee that, my friend, if you cannot play against Sheffield United, it's a goodbye. I think it's going to be goodbye. I think Phillips has to be good enough to play Sheffield United, because let's not forget this. A lot of people say Sheffield United are in form. I get it. It's a semi-final. There's magic in the FA Cup. But we played against Burnley. Burnley are more dangerous than Sheffield United. Burnley are rowing teams in the Championship. So tomorrow, obviously...
So is Sheffield United, though.
Yeah, but I get it. But Burnley are way better.
But 2 of their best players can't play.
Yeah, and which is also lovely. And you know what? By God, I support what Alan said. We have to see Massimo Peroni in this game.
There's people taking the piss.
Yeah, you're just trying
Taking the mickey out of me, aren't they?
He couldn't even say it without smiling, though. He couldn't.
He's paid.
I have not spent the best part of 300 quid to roll out.
There you go. There's the reason. There it is. There it is. He's taking his family day out at Wembley to see City second team.
You sit there with your bloody remote control. Right, listen. No, my whole point is I am in Richie's camp now. I am. Listen, I've no problem with Rodri resting down, but it has to be an experienced guy who goes in there. Then you can't, for me, roll out a inexperienced midfield. We saw it against Leicester City. We were a shambles for 20 minutes. A shambles. Because they're not ready. And as I said, if you're going to do that, let's not do all the donkey work of beating Arsenal, Chelsea, and then rolling out to an FA Cup semi-final and going, nah, sack it. Let's do what we've never done all season.
We did it last year.
My bloody point, Alan. Are you not been listening?
I'm in agreement.
But you're just stretching because you're going down there at
Thank
weekend.
you, Pat. Appreciate it.
I'm in agreement that we can't have a very weak
Thank you,
midfield.
Olympics fanatic. Exactly point. Why are people underestimating Sheffield United?
You see,
Stanley.
Martin, does it help? So the €2 you can minus it from the 300. So does that help now? You can go see
Pat, I'll be sat with the other Patrick from Sydney in the Imperial at the weekend. When we see the side, a pair of us will laugh our heads off, and we'll both Martin. I'll tell you, we will. And Martin will be going mad, eh?
I don't know. It's just Rodri's very important. I just feel like Phillips has to do something. Come on, Phillips, do something. Do anything, Phillips. Anything, please, anything.
I don't think Phillips's comments on Saturday helped him to come out in public. Well, he came out of Match of the Day and said, "I'm not ready."
He basically said, "I'm a little bit crap."
Yeah, he basically said I'm a little bit crap, but without saying I'm a little bit crap directly to the camera.
Yeah, but we've heard people say that before. That I don't think I'm yet to do in this team.
When have you heard any City player go on TV and go, "Sorry, I'm crap"?
I know what's.
Balotelli in the FA Cup final one year. He said,
Wait. Don't you feel that Erling Haaland comes off every game and he's he comes off. I should have had 4. Yeah.
According to Alan said he was awful last night because he missed 2 chances. He missed a penalty. How dare him?
I was also shocked, and I made a mistake of leaving live score on my phone, so it went to miss. I was like, no. I
think they could.
I had Martin.
Give your microphone a rest.
I had Martin on watch along, so I was 50 seconds behind. So Martin told me that he missed, and I was like, no.
I'm done. Anyway, right. Before we get to Rich Rant, because we're not going to agree on the 11, so there's no point in even trying to agree on the 11. Pep will just roll out the 11 that he does. I need to bring something up. Excuse me. Before we bring Rich Rant in, because Rich is going to have a rant about Arsenal. It's going to be quite funny. By the way, does anyone want to recall the last time we played Sheffield United? The last time we got beat by Sheffield United?
Was it 0-0 last time we played them?
No, it was 2-1 and it was in the FA Cup. Just throwing out the omens out there for you all.
Nah, don't. Nah, it's not happening. They're holding.
Right. Anyway, I need to bring up some that some of you may have heard of. Rich, I'm hoping you've read the link. Rated, have you read the link? Someone's going to tell me now.
This is like when I got asked if I'd done my homework by the teacher. Yeah.
Has anyone read the link? Rated, did you read the link?
What link?
What link?
The link about the badges.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Before I bring it in? Right, well, I'll just give you, Alan, you what of it? Alan?
I've not seen it.
Before I do this topic, Rich, no, let me just
Have
lay
you got
the
your
ground
mute
rules,
button
Alan.
ready for Alan? Because this could get a bit Nigel Farage.
Alan,
Oh, don't go down there.
Alan, I'm going
Kids,
to
watch the
read
show,
you the
Alan.
story. You do not say anything that is inappropriate, silly. We're going to do it in a very calm, collective manner.
I'll put myself on mute then.
Thank you.
Yeah, good idea.
Me and Rich just got the same light bulb moment at the same time. Of channels
Because
getting cancelled in about
In
10
this
minutes.
case, Alan, I'll probably agree with your position, so you'll be okay.
But Rich, you won't do it where the channel gets cancelled by the end. Right. There is a campaign that has gone out. I can't even believe I'm reading this. It is in every newspaper. Pat, I'm not sure if you've seen it as well. But apparently, there is now a campaign for Manchester City and Man United to change their badges.
I read it.
All right, shut up, you up there. That's why I said
To change what?
to change the badges.
Why?
Because, Alan, stop. Rich, can you punch him through the side there and tell him behave?
Yeah, he'll be quiet.
I can't even believe I'm even reading this. This is where society has gone mad.
Well, I hope we're not putting the chicken like the Spurs one, because you know what?
No, apparently there is now a campaign out to remove the ship from Manchester. The ship, P on the end. Manchester City and United should remove their badges and re-alter them because the ships on them encourage and promote slavery.
What?
Yeah, exactly. This is where we're going now with our lovely society. Will you stop up there? And we'll remove you in a minute. Never mind, bloody what's it, yo.
I think there was a fly. He was trying to kill a fly.
Manchester, I'll read you the full thing. Manchester United and Manchester City fans have maybe the enemies on the terraces, but they've now joined forces to revolt against, and it's in the article, woke nonsense campaign to cancel the ships on the club crests over claims they are symbols of the slave trade. Left wingers say the ship is a symbol of the city, also carved into the town hall, and the city council's crest symbolises the slave trade and should be replaced by a B, a pointing symbol of Manchester, especially since the 2017 arena bombings. The Guardian newspaper, whose founders' wealth was generated through links to the transatlantic slavery sheet, would like all of them removed. Now,
Typical
that's
Guardian.
the gist of it, basically. It goes on to talk about the British Empire and the Romans, and how Manchester should also be stopped as well. They want to take the name Manchester out because of the links to the Romans.
What? So what is it going to be? Chester.
I don't know. They haven't said this. They want a B. They want us to all have a nice B each, rather than
Beechester. So we're gonna be Beechester.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you have to get rid of the Chester because that's Roman as well.
Yeah, we can't have Chester either. That's got to go as well now.
So we're gonna just be City. Is that what we're going for here? I don't know.
City footballing group and the United footballing group. I don't know. Anyway, Manchester MPs have come out and said, no, we have done a lot of work to stop any kind of slavery, even because Manchester used to be a cotton mill industry, and anyone that had any links with any kind of, it also goes back to the American Civil War. This is how far back they're going now. They're going way, way back to try and get links into them.
All right.
And it's actually made headline news here. And basically, the Manchester MPs, Alan.
So
no, Alan, it's in every newspaper. It's also been on the news. It's been in all the news. Alan.
Yeah. So can I just have a mini Rich rant for 1 minute? Right. Firstly,
I don't know.
The Guardian, which used to once be the paper of Manchester, it was the Manchester Guardian till the 50s and 60s.
I'll send you the link, Pat.
It has become, it's become, A, it's one of the most anti-city papers there is a lot of the time. And B, it has become a very I guess you'd call it more champagne socialism, you know, wealthy middle class kind of agenda. And so I don't know whether there is any real serious thing, or it's just Simon Hattenstone, who was the journalist, wrote it, trying to be cool or edgy or get attention. And to be fair, he has got a lot of attention from this. But yeah, for me, there's some very important things. This, no one will deny that, if you go back to the early 1800s, I mean, I think slavery in Britain was outlawed in 1807. And even in the Empire, it was in the 1830s. And most of the cotton industry was way beyond that. But there was unquestionably links in the cotton industry and slavery. But Manchester had industry across all sorts of other, heavy industries and the mining in North Manchester and around Wigan, the mining to the south of Manchester, not just coal, but mining other things. And Manchester had, on that badge, you've got, the three rivers, the Matlock and the Irwell. You've got the ships symbolising Manchester's trade with the world, and the Manchester Ship Canal. The Manchester Ship Canal, I think, was nearly 1900, the 1890s or something. That was built. So you've got Manchester's history as an industrial city. But when someone wants to have a go at Manchester about this, I think what is very, very important is to go back to the US Civil War, when the Union and the Confederacy basically fought a civil war over the right of Southern slave owners to build their wealth and trade on the back of slavery. In the Civil War, Britain was very close to joining with the Confederacy and joining with the South. Britain was the Union. One of the main reasons the Union won was the naval blockade, and Britain was seriously considering helping the Confederacy against the Union. The cotton workers of Manchester went on strike. They refused to process any cotton or anything that was destined to help the South. Refused to do it. They went on strike. In those days, you didn't get paid. You went hungry if you went on strike. And that led the only foreign, people that publicly Abraham Lincoln ever thanked for helping the Union win were the people of Manchester. He thanked them. After his death, the United States donated a statue of Abraham Lincoln, which still stands in the centre of Manchester today, to thank the people of Manchester, or the workers of Manchester, I should say, from going on strike. That strike...
Rich, just take over for me, mate, hosting.
Yeah, that strike stopped the merchants of Liverpool, who were pushing for the British to support the Confederacy, from doing so. So I think Manchester has an immensely proud history of a massive role it played.
Why did the British government back the Confederacy? Why did they do that when everyone else said no?
Well, I mean, probably, not everyone else said no, but a couple of reasons. One, the Union were the people who would, were effectively the people who'd fought a war against Britain for independence 70, 80 years earlier. Two, Britain was seeing America as increasingly its biggest economic threat around the world, as America was industrializing and, becoming more powerful. So I think Britain was always, often siding against the Americans who were with France against Britain in there. So I mean, there's a whole host of reasons, economic, world power, naval, why Britain would act in its interest. And also the people, places like Liverpool were very, very, very wealthy on the back of what the Confederacy was doing. So probably a lot of wealthy people, bit like today, a lot of wealthy people not caring about the consequences of anything makes them rich. So, I think there's a whole host of reasons, but I think it's a very bizarre and unfair, attack on Manchester. But I think Hattenstone's from Salford. I think he's a a Manchester journalist, but it just seems a very bizarre path to go down. You know.
Yeah, I don't have much time left on the stream here, but there's my 2 cents is a boat is not a symbol of slavery. A boat is not a symbolism of colonialism. There's more to it with regards to that representation. And I don't have my dates correct, right? But again, club wise to those moments within history, I don't think they overlap. I think when City was formed doesn't correlate to when slavery would have been prominent with regards to all this, all of that. So I say this: I'm not involved the way you guys are in terms of being on the ground and understanding the connection from Manchester and maybe what these left wings may be moving towards. But my pushback is slavery, colonialism is not symbolized by a boat on a crest. Like there's other things that I've identified or I could see tied to that, and it's not as generic as a boat. If that boat itself had arm chains and leg chains and things of that displayed on it, I would agree with you. But a boat in itself, no. There's transport, there's export, import. It's way too simplistic on how this person is positioning it.
The Manchester Ship Canal and the boats coming to Manchester didn't happen till 1893, and that was long after the Civil War, long after, and that's why it's I mean, you could argue that it's a symbol of British Empire economic imperialism. I mean, if you want to look for an angle to take, that's you'd have to take that angle. But the reality is, Manchester is, well, not so much is, but was a very progressive, very left-wing industrial city, and Manchester's existence, its wealth and everything else was based on, the same as, most of northern England was based on working people producing industrial products in the Industrial Revolution and sharing those with the world. And
these people that are making this assumption about taking the belt off the crest of both clubs, of City and United.
Let's be clear. Actually, these
are wokies. These are wokies. These are far left wokies that are extreme.
You know what? They're not even far left. They are wealthy, middle class people being trendy. I don't even think that they wouldn't want anything left wing. They wouldn't want to. They're high earning.
They go too far. They go too far.
I think it's for attention. And to be fair, the fact that we're talking about this, it's made tabloids and everything else, means they got the attention they wanted. But Manchester, the one thing that symbolises Manchester is its radicalism. Manchester, it's the place with Abraham Lincoln's statue for striking against slavery. It's where the Peterloo massacre took place. It's where the suffragettes formed. It's where the trade union movement formed. That is Manchester's history, is progressive, radical, and left wing. And because of its nature as a large industrial town with a lot of working people and a lot of educated working people. And
I think they just I don't know. I'm thinking after what Vita said, there's far worse things I can point at England for saying drop this, do this, give this back to Africa, or do you know what I mean? There's far more serious things you can do than come and start pointing at badges and the name. Because somebody said they have to stop calling Man City and Manchester man, because apparently they have to say them Chester. Did you hear about that? This was just weeks ago. This is just weeks ago. Somebody went against Man United, saying they mustn't call them Man United because it's been direct about men. There's also a women's team, so they should call them they Chester or them Chester.
Yeah, but the whole English language is, the whole English.
Sorry,
Rich,
I do have to drop. I'm gonna continue watching, but I do have to drop. Great show, guys.
Thank you very much, Veta. Yeah, but no, it's I think we just got to remember it's on it's not about City or United's badge. It's actually about the Manchester coat of arms, and it's there about the ship canal and Manchester's industrial history. And we can't deny that at some, if you go back 200 years and you go back long before the badge and the coat of arms, and you go back, to the late 1700s, early 1800s, that there was a connection between the Manchester cotton industry, the slave trade, and everything else. But Manchester played a big part in getting rid of that. And, that's one of the reasons I've always, one of the reasons why Liverpool and Manchester hate each other so much is going back to moments in history where Liverpool stood with the Confederacy and helping the South and maintaining slavery, and Manchester went on strike against that. So rather than this being something to be ashamed of, I'm immensely proud when I look at Manchester's history about the part we've played, for women's rights, everything else. Sorry, Pat.
Yeah, since we're in a class, so I'm gonna put my hand up like Alan did. Rich, so the bee. Can I ask you, Rich, has the bee stung anybody, killed anybody? So before we put it on the because as soon as you put the bee on the crest, I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna come back again and say this bee has done. Bees represent this. And to be honest with you, I've been hearing this, and it's not the first time. And I'm telling you, if I get the link, I'll share the link to the story of Man United. This is going on right now because of the new generation. And it's also very difficult because every time, even when you go to a pub and have a conversation, Rich and Alan, it's everything you can't. Oh, I remember I was told last year that I was mansplaining. I didn't, Alan, I didn't know what mansplaining is until recent. I went to Google it. So I'm just, I don't know. Just for me, I just think,
mate, the world's gone mad, and you know it has. It's gone crazy. You can't say this, you can't say that. We used to go down the pub. I'm sure you did as well, Pat. Go down the pub with your mates and debate and have a laugh and maybe disagree on a few things, but you'd always be friends at the end of it, not fall out about it, and have a bit of banter, a bit of a laugh. Now,
or get cancelled.
Yeah, now you're scared of saying anything. It's ridiculous.
But I think there's there's two sides to it. And I think everything gets mixed up. I actually think in this world there are not that many people on the extremes, but in the last 10, 15 years, and this has mainly come through America, everyone has tried to be pushed to be one side or the other and to be at the
social media's not helped.
The reality is that there are a lot of things, originally, if you went back 10 years, the term woke would have just been used for being not racist or being not misogynist or being not homophobic. And I hope most people think that those positions are very, very reasonable. Now, in recent times, and this has been driven by both sides, I think, we get involved in arguments about very tiny things, about tiny, almost irrelevant things like the symbol on a badge or something, and quite extreme positions get taken. And sometimes I actually think the positions are actually, some things are fired up to pretend it's woke, but they're actually fired up by people on the exact opposite side to try and build support. Because if they have someone utterly unreasonable on the other side, that's the best way to win your argument. So I think we go there. I mean, I think probably we've all said our part, and we should probably steer back onto City. And I know we've got a bit of a Rich rants, and we can have an Alan and Pat rant on this. But I think one topic we did want to cover today was, and this comes, I don't know if you've watched any of the Arsenal fan TV or any of the Arsenal channels last week, but with a couple of draws, and incidentally, I don't know what City had to do with Arsenal's defensive mistakes against West Ham or Liverpool. It seemed to me it was absolutely nothing to do with me, but a group of fans went from, and I'm not talking about all Arsenal fans either. I'm talking about, some of the ones on Twitter and on Arsenal fan TV, etc. But they went from being really cocky to suddenly saying they'd lost the league and it was because of money. And I watched one particular interview with a not particularly bright person, I would think, because they're either dishonest or not very bright. And he basically, in in the background the Emirates Stadium with an Emirates sign, and in a shirt with Emirates written on it, he went into a bit of a rant about how Arsenal should have won the league. History says they should win the league. They're not an oil club. They've got really moral owners and everything else. And, you know, really went into, but basically insinuated that City have no history, that City didn't exist before 2008, that City are an oil club and that oil money's bad and all this. And, it really got my goat because it showed a complete ignorance of fact, because it showed a complete ignorance about the economic reality and what Arsenal has spent. It showed a complete ignorance about oil, because clearly Etihad is something really evil and bad and Emirates is something really good, but both are UAE airlines. There's absolutely no difference apart from one's Sheikh Mohammed and Dubai, and one's Sheikh Al Nahyan and Abu Dhabi. And then he talked about morals, and he talked about morals with Emirates and then Rwanda on his shirt. Talked about history, obviously completely ignorant about history, and talked about cheating. And I just wanted to have a little bit of a rant, but also get your views on what are these fans just totally ignorant about the history of their clubs and what's going on at their clubs?
Yep.
Are they just lazy and looking for excuses, or what is it? And so
we know Arsenal's history, and their owner made his billions and billions out of oil, which he did.
Well, some of it out of oil, but a few other things about Kroenke. If we're talking about owners, Kroenke had to pay last year or the year before $700 million in compensation to St. Louis because he thinks that sport clubs can be moved between cities. So he realized he could get more money paid by moving the Rams to LA than he could in St. Louis. So he broke contracts, broke agreements, broke the hearts of St. Louis by moving them to LA to make money. So he showed his morals there, what he thinks about support. He showed his morals when he made, and some people might agree with this, some might not, he donated lots of monies to Trump's inauguration and Trump's campaign. And he showed his morals when he introduced in Britain a blood sports channel, which amongst other things showed hunting in Africa, that he had to pull back and remove about a year later because, most people don't like having, animals slaughtered live on TV. He's married to a Walmart. So he's basically a billionaire who's done good things, who's done bad things, but there's no real difference in morality between making money from oil and blood sports and moving football clubs than there is from, Mansouri basically just got left it because he was born in the right family. He's got the money. So.
I saw the interviews. And I've been looking at channels, watching the channels. To be honest with you, Rich, I can say nobody likes Man City. Nobody does. I have been in pubs where I'm wearing the Man City jersey and the match has started. And I can give an example of the Liverpool match where we drew against Liverpool, but Liverpool scored first. There was United fans in there cheering and jumping. Like, in all fairness, do that. It doesn't matter. Even Chelsea fans were jumping.
Yeah.
When City scored, none of them were jumping. I watched the scene. Yeah. I watched this. I just watched the around. But to tick them off, you know what I did? City went 2-1 up. I jumped off my chair and did the whole, the whole dance in front of them. And I didn't care. It was a whole full pub. And they all went silent and quiet. And when Liverpool obviously 2-2, they all celebrated. But one of the guys was like, you know what? After a few drinks, a Chelsea fan, he's like, you know what? I really don't hate Man City. It's just the jealousy that you guys are consistent and my club wins once in a while. I don't. But to be honest with you, deep down, I'd rather you guys win than others. But now it just hurts me that your success is yours. I wish it was mine. But if you look at the FTV, do you know what they said, Martin and Sal, which made me laugh? I'm pretty sure Rich knows this. One of them looked at the TV. He's like, it's unfair for us to compete with City because they're a massive club. That's what he said, number one. And I was laughing. I was like, but Arsenal fans, you say you're bigger than City and City is little. Then he says, moreover, we are fighting against a giant that has got 2 teams. They can start that 2 teams every year and get first and second. I said, but you're first.
They didn't watch Leicester, did they?
Yeah. But I was like, you're the ones who are first with 4 points above us. So he says we're cheating. He says we're cheats. And we've got more than 1 team. And the Prem should stop refusing teams to have more than 1 team. That's 2 teams. That's what he said. And I sat there. I was like, I think this guy's a fool. But then I watched the same guy, Alan. I saw him last season. Do you know what he said when they were on top? City are nothing. The history means nothing. They will not do anything against us. We're going to walk this league. But he changed his tone now. He says, Man City have got 2 teams, so it's unfair. So I don't listen to them anymore. I think they're just salty. But you're right. It's also ignorance.
You're right. They are salty. But the league's not over yet. It's nowhere near over.
It's not. And they shouldn't be giving up.
There's 8-9 games to go. A lot will happen. Arsenal tell you, we were 8-9 points behind United with 5 games to go. And we won the league because United basically choked, which is true. They did. The league's not over until it's over. Let's be completely over. We only have to look back to 2012 and the 90th minute we all got our heads in the ground crying, thinking we've blown it. It's
and in terms of the first point you said, Patrick, on history, and I think every single City fan, you need to make sure you know your history. So when some ignorant Arsenal fan or Liverpool, whoever, who really doesn't know about the game, talks about history, City were formed 6 years, 1880, City formed, Arsenal 1886. So history is a function of time. Our time's 6 years longer. Whichever way you want to look at it, City entered the top flight of English football in 1899, Arsenal 1904. Again,
apparently Rex are now saying they've got Woolwich. They're now throwing out the Woolwich.
We can trace some of our links back before 1880 anyway, if we're going to be...
Exactly. But Rich, they never listen. I even told them about the FA Cup. I told them about the FA Cup when United fans were busy showing off. But the thing about it is, I think it's a waste of time because they never listen. Because I sent that picture with the where we won the FA Cup. They didn't care. They're like, nothing. That's nothing. Yeah. They changed the goalposts always. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah,
first major trophy, 1904 against 1930. 26 years earlier, a quarter of a century earlier, we were winning things at the top of football. First title, they were before us, 1931, 1937. First League Cup, 1987 for Arsenal. 1970 was 1987. I mean,
when was their first FA Cup?
Their first FA Cup was, I think, 1930 was their first trophy. So 26 years
first FA Cup.
1904. So long before
they became Arsenal.
Yeah. They won in Europe the same week we did, actually. Their first win in Europe, both 1970. I think theirs was the Fairs Cup, which became the UEFA Cup, and we were the Cup Winners' Cup. They also...
Patrick, you can, when Liverpool fans give you grief, just tell them that we won a European trophy before they did, which is the fact.
By the way, I don't mean this to be rude. I am going to have to wrap in 5.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
The reason is I need to nip down to hospital.
Sorry. Okay. Well, I'll rant for 4 of those minutes then, Martin. But so their record crowd 73, ours 85. So when you actually look at history, they've won more leagues, they've won more FA Cups. We can't deny that. But if you actually look at history, our history is longer. Our history of winning things is longer. We've had a history which has many crowds that are in excess of their biggest ever crowd. So I think when they talk about history, they don't mean history. They just mean we've won more league titles. But when you explore
that's it.
League titles, they won league titles because for 25 years, they were known as the Bank of England Club.
Many times.
Yeah. They were known as the Bank of England Club. They took over from Sunderland as the Bank of England Club because they were between the wars, they were the richest club. They built a bigger stadium because their owners invested in the club. They bought the best young players. They paid their manager more than anyone had ever paid.
Don't tell them that, Rich. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
They built the stadium to get the most fans in. So their owner invested in the club. And guess what? In the 30s, they won about 5 titles, which sounds remarkably like what we did. The only difference is, and this is where we get to the cheating, is that for 140 years or maybe 160 years, you know, there were limits on professionalism of the players, but owners were allowed to invest and try and make their clubs better until Arsenal, Liverpool and United decided that we don't want people doing what Google or Amazon or Tesla or, you know, anyone else has done. We want a closed shop where we get guaranteed the money every year. So they changed the rules, and then anyone doing what was perfectly normal in every other part of life, every other industry, every other bit of history suddenly became cheating.
No, Rich, let's be honest, and I'm going to say it, since we got our bonus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's fair.
Straight here.
That's fair.
This is what the top and bottom of it says.
Yeah, because there are a number of clubs, and those three clubs
are now begging for Arab owners from the Middle East.
They exist as a profit stream for owners. They are a profit margin and a set of accounts for owners. And ultimately, Kroenke, FSG, and United want 20 million or 50 million, whatever it is, per year going into their businesses, the same as their American sports teams, to be money. When clubs come in where, and I'm not saying City's ownership is not about money, because at the end of the day, it is. But the difference is that City's view is you invest massively and then you create a very valuable asset. You create a very valuable business instead but the recognition is you have to have Champions League football. And that is what all of this is about. United, Liverpool and Arsenal want Champions League money without having to work for it. They want to earn it by the fact that they deserve it just because, you know, they were massive in the 30s or Liverpool were huge in the 70s and 80s. They just want that given to them on a plate, no effort, not having to win it on a pitch. And when they don't get it, they want excuses so they feel better about themselves. It is as absolute simple as that. So the cheating was done by them, not by us, by trying to change rules that have been in place for a century and a half to fix the game. The history is on our side on nearly everything in terms of the length and the richness of that history. Yes, we haven't caught them on trophies yet, but that's coming. And then the worst and most stupid one is about the spending. About the spending. Arsenal have spent nearly £500 million net in the last 5 seasons. City have spent about 225. They've spent more than double us, but they forget they spent nearly 80 million on Nicolas Pepe, or 75 million on Aubameyang, or 60 million on Ben White, or 50 million on Lacazette. They've spent an absolute fortune. And the fact that they've spanked some of that money on Granit Xhaka or Nicolas Pepe or Aubameyang, and they've done sweet FA, and the fact we spent our money on Haaland and De Bruyne.
Hang on, just on that. You spend 7 million.
That's their fault, not ours. They spent the money. They just
7 million on Pepe.
They spent 73 million, I think. Nicolas Pepe cost them.
Martin, can you do me a favour? Can you just?
We've only once signed a player who cost more than Pepe.
So I can forward it to every Arsenal fan that I know.
If you want, I'll cut it and send it to you, Martin. I timed it already. I'll cut from the education place. I'll cut all of it.
Send it to me, Pat.
At the end of the day, I don't mean to cut. I don't mean to cut Rich short. I'm really not. Listen, it's right and it's spot on. I mean, don't get me wrong. The money situation will change in the summer. I can promise you. We're about to drop a.
It's going to change massively. It'll change Arsenal massively with Champions League money too.
The symbol, yeah, of course it will. There is his Arsenal about to drop 130 million on one player.
It might not be that far.
No, they might get Declan right. No, apparently
they might drop 100 million on a midfielder. I wouldn't be surprised.
I read somewhere the other day City haven't ruled out both. Just I told you they were going to boil piss this summer because there's now one thing I can say. There's now an inquiry going around of our City stockpiling to stop competitors buying other players. Because when it came out about the Jude stuff, By the way, you can now check with everyone. Sky Bet have now got us as 4-5 on to Jude Bellingham, so that's now spread around to everyone now about the Bellingham stuff.
It's not going to Madrid. Did you watch that on when they were talking about after the Madrid beat Chelsea? All Fozzie and all the others were going on. That's an absolute certainty that he's going to Real Madrid. And how good he would be, even though commentators are going on.
Real Madrid have drifted to about 9-1.
I felt sick. I felt really away.
Because it came out. I'm not sure if you read it, Pat. It was in the Athletic. And it came out from Sam Lee and Jack Gordon and all them, and they said City can't guarantee they won't buy both Jude and Declan Rice. And that's when the inquiry came out of City trying to stockpile everyone from buying anybody.
I would love that. I would love that. I think that would. Oh my God, that would hurt everybody. That would hurt a lot of people.
City are going to drop a lot of money this summer just to
the one thing that makes me think Rice is not impossible is that West Ham for years have been after Calvin Phillips, and
they have.
I think of like Alan's wet dream of Calvin Phillips in the middle on Saturday, man of the match, and I'm like, no, Alan.
Hey, you know, Pat, what you should do, mate? What you should do is when we buy all these players, and then when the Premier League drop all the charges because we're innocent, the next time we go into the
hang on, no, Alan, we've not done a stream on that yet. Whoa, stop.
That will happen. When that happens, we'll all get Arab outfits. We'll wear them all on here.
Alan,
Monopoly money. We walk in the pub with all your Arab outfits.
Anyway, before Alan starts really going off on a tangent here, he's really trying to get the channel cancelled at this point. Alan, no. Anyway,
but Martin, just one thing. That what Rich just educated everybody with, that has to be clipped. That has to be a clip. If you want me to do it, Martin, I'll edit it for you and send it to you.
You clip it and send it to me.
Because that education is what I have tried before educating people. They just dunk you down. But it's good some of the information is given out, especially comparing. So go ahead, Martin.
The big thing is, mate, some don't want to listen.
Yeah,
but how many spaces have we been in, Pat, when we've tried to educate about Arsenal?
A lot.
Don't want to listen.
Just worry about educating ourselves, honestly.
Yeah.
There's
no point in trying to educate Arsenal fans or United fans.
But Martin,
you saw it the other day. You were on a stream last night,
Martin. We should let you go. I think you should. Get going.
End of the day, Pat. You were on a stream last night. That's now been twisted. That Arsenal were the favourites all season. So suddenly now City are the favourites, and if we don't get the treble, we're failures.
Did you see how
things just get twisted?
Did you see my? Did you watch the wind up I did? I asked the guy. I was like, okay, if that's so, why have you said Arsenal are the favourites throughout the season? And he choked.
Exactly. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because
just one little sentence that just finishes. Do not stand in a shirt with Emirates written on it in front of an Emirates sign with Rwanda tourism on your arm and talk about, human rights and how you hate oil, because it doesn't work. You can't slag off oil when your stadium's Emirates and your shirt's Emirates and they're your biggest contributor.
And your car uses oil too. So anyway,
Oh, but on a good note,
Patrick, send me your mobile number to get you on WhatsApp so we can have a chat now and again.
Oh, okay, cool. I will.
Yeah, good man.
Anyway, on a good note, Simon Jordan has now changed his mind and said some nice things about us.
I wonder why.
Anyway, there is no stream now till Sunday night. We're not back till Sunday.
Okay.
Like having a bloody parrot on your shoulder, isn't it? Keep going, sunshine. Anyway, it's not my first rodeo, this, Alan. 4.5 years, mate. 4.5 years. Well, 5.5 years. We'll be back Sunday. I will be live at some point from Olympic Way, Wembley Way, whatever you want to call it. I will be live at some point on Saturday.
Watching Peroni. Watching Peroni.
Imagine how the show
Don't
started.
worry. We'll all be getting text messages. We'll be losing 1-0 when he's playing Phillips in central midfield and he's realised he's gone all that way and spent all that money.
Hey, Alan, no worries, mate. You sit there with your remote control and you pack a double full.
Don't worry. I get the popcorn out.
Just imagine how angry Martin's going to be when he's just paid 18. He's just paid 18 quid. He's paid 18 quid for a pint of Peroni, and then the team list comes out and Peroni's paying
£50 for a pie. £50 for a pie. Yeah, exactly.
Got to spend about 200 quid on just fuel and food. Yeah. Nearly 300 quid on tickets, and then here's the reserve team, lads.
How much is Tizer at Wembley?
Oh, they don't serve it, mate. I do know a bottle of Coke's about £6. A bottle of Coke's
£6 for a Coke.
He's gone Brian Potter again. You've got Brian Potter.
I think it's £5.80.
Even £5.80 is expensive. That's like good.
It's London, mate.
Anyway, Matt, if I let you go.
Anyone travelling down on Saturday, be safe. However you're getting down there, coach, train, travel, please be safe. Look after yourselves.
Me and Alan are travelling. So.
Anyway, be safe. Look after yourselves. If you do see me, I am with my children. Come and say hello. Don't be a stranger. We love to put names to faces. Ask Pat. I'm one of the most friendliest people you'll meet. Come and say hello. I don't care where you're from, how long you supported us. Come and say hello. I'll be over there probably about 2:30. I'm going to the fan park to have a beer. I'm only allowed
please, guys, if you see him, please do me a favor and take a picture, Martin, if somebody does this. Guys who are watching, if you meet Martin, buy him a Peroni, the beer Peroni. Please let him take a picture with him. Buy him with that. He has to be.
And what I really want is a picture of Martin with a can of Tizer and a curly whirly. So if
how am I going to get that?
You take it down with you. Take it down with you. Can of Tizer and a curly whirly. And if anyone can get a photo, share it on the stream.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
But anyway, safe journeys. We'll be back Sunday night with the post match. I will do something live from Wembley on Saturday. But yeah, thank you all for joining us. Please go and get Veta TV, Veta Games TV, True City fan channel. He did a good stream on Bayern Munich just before he came on air post match. Pitch Points, City Extra, all the lads, MCFC lads who were in the chat tonight. Big thank you to them coming supporting. 9320 Pubcast, who I was on earlier as well. Go and give Andy and all the gang a lot of love over there. There's a lot of City content and we're all family. And we all need to get behind each other because we're a magnificent club with a magnificent team, which could be about to do something very, very special. If you see Alan, and if you see Alan, slap him round the head. Anyway, take care. Have a lovely evening. And we'll see you all very, very soon.
See you later.
Love to you all. Take care. Wembley. Bye.
Bye.